This is a Planet X table. If you know anything about Planet X, there is this idea that Planet X Nibiru is going to appear. We don't know when, but the Torah codes seem to predict it. And in Jewish mystical texts, it talks about Planet X quite a bit, and there's a lot of people studying it right now. No one's seen it yet, but we think that it might have had something to do with the flood of Noah and other things that happened through history. There's researchers like Marshall Masters and also Gil Broussard have done insane amounts of work studying this and comparing it to historical references. But what's interesting about this, it says, in the end of days, Nibiru, it has it all spelled out in very tight form, a warning in 5776, and a lot of people were talking about Planet X in 2016, and basically a threat. Here's another one. A little bit different. But in the actual plain text, it says, I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come out of Jacob. A scepter will rise out of Israel. And this is out of Breaking Israel News. After 40 days, when the pillar rises from earth to heaven in the eyes of the whole world, and the Messiah has appeared, a star will rise up on the east, blazing in all colors, and 7 other stars will surround that star, and they will wage war on it. Now, this is basically in Jewish mystical texts. And there was a guy who tried to claim that he was the Messiah 400 years ago, and because this planet didn't appear, they didn't believe him. What's interesting, in the New Testament, Jesus says that there will be a sign of the coming of the Son of Man, and then the Son of Man comes. Some people believe that that sign is an astronomical sign. Here is that scripture in Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Did that sound like some kind of major astronomical event? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. This is Gil Broussard's graphic, which is quite amazing, that shows that all of the planets in our solar system are experiencing change, climate change, if you want to call it that. And they're visible from telescopes. Like if we go through the whole thing, I mean, if you freeze this and read it yourself, it'd be better than me going through all this and boring the heck out of all of you. But basically, there are changes going on in our solar system that's affecting all the planets, not just the Earth. What we're experiencing is not due to carbon being emitted on the Earth, because then why is it that the planet Venus is now 2,500% brightness increase? There's no cars on the planet Venus, but it's changing too. This is a table from Michael Drosnin's book, The Bible Code, page 155, which was released in 1997. There was a comet that everybody heard about. It was called Comet Elenin, and they thought it would pass by the Earth. Now, we didn't know that there'd be a comet in the year 2012 that would pass by the Earth back in 1997. No one knew about that. But the Torah codes did, and in Drosnin's book it says, Comet, it will be crumbled, I will tear it to pieces in 2012. I sent that table to Rabbi Glazerson and Dr. Rotenberg. They did this table. It had the word Elenin in the table. It says, to be finished in 5772, which is 2012. Nibiru will broken, the comet star, and then kind of ominously down in the lower left corner, in the plain text, it says, in the end of days. Unbelievable. Here's actually from space.com, a news item. Doomsday comet Elenin zips by the Earth in pieces. So there's the physical proof of it happening. Sometimes things are in the Torah codes that we have actual physical proof later that they were true. Just like we have in this, in the torn Torah scroll in Mumbai. We've showed this before, but when the terrorist fired into the Shabbat house, the Torah was damaged and ripped a hole right in this particular passage. In that passage where the hole was ripped in the Torah, it says massacre terror in the Shabbat house in Bombay. All of these codes were found in that little space that was ripped out by the machine gun bullet. Incredible. Professor Rips did this table, which is also pretty famous. It says, "Destruction I will name you, cursed is bin Laden, and revenge belongs to the Messiah." Well, everybody knows what happened to bin Laden. I just thought that this table is more than coincidence. It has an enormous sentence that basically all is butted up against itself. So let's go into the Trump codes here. Is President Trump in the Torah codes? Yes, he is. You may have heard of Trump being compared to King Cyrus and all of that. So let's see what the Torah codes say about him. Here we have a pretty involved table that has all of the issues. Iran, Cyrus, Messiah, the agreement, Donald Trump, president, in 2018, and basically the agreement will be canceled. That's basically true. Another one, in the second month of the Hebrew calendar, Donald Trump is encoded. Chess fan, which is November 8th when he was elected. Lover of Israel, which is true. Made the change that Jerusalem would be the capital of Israel. To the U.S., the president will be elected. All this was in the Torah codes and found before it happened. Another one on Donald Trump, and the word Cyrus is in there. You have to understand that King Cyrus was the king who basically brought the Jews back into their homeland and allowed them to build another temple. And everybody's wondering if Trump is going to help them build the third temple. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, because there'd be a lot of political things involved, but a lot of people are hoping that. What's also interesting is that Trump is the 45th president of the United States. If you go to Isaiah chapter 45, that chapter talks about King Cyrus, who everybody refers Trump to King Cyrus. The idea that it's in the 45th chapter and mentions, and Trump is like basically along with the word Cyrus, is why they minted a coin in Israel with both of their heads on it, King Cyrus and Donald Trump. Which also is kind of interesting is gematria for Donald Trump, and the first Torah code table was found by Rabbi Matityahu Glazerson. The Paris conference that Trump went to is 777, comes up to that number. The date of Trump's inauguration was 1/2017. Trump's birth was on 6/14/46, which is 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days from his birth, or 777. And the Hebrew year is 5777, which is 2017. I mean, it's really crazy, but that's what it says. We also were concerned about Donald Trump being assassinated. Professor Rips made this table, and it says the name of his assassin. Well, so Rabbi Glazerson happened to be in Los Angeles, and I said, we need to see if we can search the codes and see if there's a name for this guy. And so Rabbi Glazerson did this new table with the name of the murderer and Donald Trump, and a guy's named Michael came up in 5776, which was 2016. The threat of a murderer, the murderer. What's interesting is this guy, when Trump was in Las Vegas, grabbed one of the security guard's pistol and tried to shoot Trump with it, and his name was Michael Sanford, and he was arrested. This is the same guy jailed over plan to shoot Donald Trump. And then, of course, we've had all these crazy things happen, which I think are really quite despicable and not funny at all. Kathy Griffin's beheading, the sick joke with Donald Trump's head. It's really, if they'd done this to Obama, can you imagine the outrage? And then people holding signs up, rape Melania. It's just really sick. But that's the way our society has become. I think it's disgusting. We're talking now about the whole Hillary and Trump situation. So Professor Rips did a couple tables for me and sent them to me. I didn't know he was going to do these, but I think you should see them. He did a table on the Clinton Foundation and Hillary. They're basically all in a straight line. Hillary Foundation, corrupted. The Comey covers up table, that's really incredible.
Exactly. No doubt. You see, so therefore you see the importance of this cause. You see so many verses related, you understand?
When Professor Rips sent me the table on Comey and Hillary, I thought it was a good table. Here were parallel rows of sentences all describing what happened, a news item that we're all familiar with. But I was astonished when I began to study the skips that made up this table. It went well beyond anything I'd ever seen before. Here we have Comey covers up with a skip of 513 characters. Then over one line and parallel with it is for the male, also with the same skip of 513. Then above these two lines, and printed horizontally with a skip of only 2 characters, is the word Hillary. The final cluster is the most amazing. 2 sentences come together on their own, on the same line, each with a skip of the same 513 characters. The sentences, making use by their foundation. In all, there is a complete story here. Comey covers up for the male, making use by their foundation. Sharing these same characters and splayed out over those sentences about the foundation, in 3D if you will, is the word servers. Compact beyond belief, but then I had to gasp when I realized that the word servers had a skip of 1,539 characters. If you multiply 513, the size of the skip for the other sentences, by 3, you get 1,539 characters.
Torah codes. End to darkness.